Hi, in this video we'll discuss the best and worst techniques and effects in video editing that exists. I've chosen 38 of the most common techniques so everyone knows about them. I'll present all this in a tier list format, where top tier represents the best you can use. Solid means good techniques or effects that should be used. Decent is what you can use, but it's more of a base technique that won't surprise anyone. Out of place is for techniques that are out of dated or no longer relevant and should be avoided or used only in very specific cases. And avoid is for things that should never be used. Let's start with the 3D camera. I think it's a good effect because it allows you to create many different techniques. For example, the parallax effect is made with a 3D camera. Various 3D effects that look good and unique can create a strong impression of your editing, so I can confidently place it in solid. However, I really like the 3D camera, and even using it in small details can significantly increase your professionalism with the 3D effect. So I would put it in top tier. Next up is fast cutting. Honestly, a few months ago, I would definitely have placed this in top tier because this technique was used by every second YouTuber. Literally every Reels or Shorts video was edited very quickly. But now I think that in 2025, it won't be as widely used as it was in 2024. Unfortunately, I can't place it in top tier, but since this technique is still around, I'll place it in solid. It still has life and definitely won't go out of style in the next few years. Audio docking is a technique where you lower or mute the music to emphasize speech. It's a good technique that's often used to focus attention on someone speaking. I have no negative comments about it, and I often notice this being done, especially lately when content is getting longer and music is added less. But if it's about specifically muting the speech for a moment, not an entire video like a podcast, I'll place this in solid. When used correctly, it definitely belongs in solid. B-rolls can be said to be bad, as it's quite normal to add them to your videos to give more context and diversify shorts. If only these clips were original and not from stock footage, but I won't get into that right now. Anyway, since it's a good technique to improve your edit, but it won't surprise anyone because it's basic, I leave it in decent. Now, beat cutting. For those who don't know, is when clips are edited to match the beat of the music. This is common in anime edits or football highlights videos. For such formats, it's basic, but this technique is also used in regular video to show something like camera sweeps, where the shots camera with the beat, speeding up, making transitions with masks, etc. In this case, I can place it in decent and not in solid either. As an editor, I can say it's basic, but not every editor can do it well and appropriately, so I'll place it in solid. It can raise the level of a video. About camera shake, I can't say anything special. It's rarely used appropriately. The only place where it's used constantly is in those same edits I mentioned, but using it all the time, I don't know where that would work. I'd place it in out of place, not decent, because it's rarely useful and doesn't make a huge impact in videos. Cheesy transitions refer to preset transitions in CapCut or other programs that look awful and don't fit well in videos. There is something only beginners might use due to not realizing how bad they look, so avoid using these in your videos because it will only make them worse. Definitely avoid. Cross dissolves is a well-known technique. It's just smooth transitions where the opacity of the first and second layers change at the same time. One becomes 0 opacity and the other becomes 100%. I can't say it will make you stand out. Clearly, it's one of the most basic transitions and is rarely used anymore. Everyone does transitions through overlays or just cuts. There are other techniques, but we'll discuss those later. I can't say it's very bad, but you won't show high-level editing with this, so it goes in out of place. Fade in and fade out are similar to the previous one, but it's a bit different. It's the fade into a black screen, not crossing two layers. It's not used that often, but in certain moments, it can be very fitting. For example, to add tension and suspense before a key moment, you can fade out and then sharply reveal the next scene. You'd naturally add the right sounds, rise for tension and hit for the dramatic sounds to release it. All these and many other useful sounds and music can be found on my website. There you can also check out my projects, which you can dissect to understand how and what to do to get the right animation or effect. Plus, I have courses that will help you master the knowledge you need quickly and start practicing sooner. So I would place this effect or technique in out of place. The freeze frame effect can be used in various ways, like showing something on a still frame. I can't say much about this effect. It's a standard technique, so I'll place it in decent. Now, about the glitch effect. I have more to say about this. It's neither bad nor good. If used carefully, it can create great transitions. You can't use it too often. Well, you can, but the question is, should you, and is it appropriate? Small transitions or lag effect can be made with it, but beyond that, it doesn't really stand out, and I rarely see it nowadays. I would place it in decent. I really like the grain effect because it adds atmosphere instantly. Essentially, it's just noise, but it's a bit different. I'd gladly put it in top tier, and I can do it because it's my opinion, but I want to be more objective. This effect can add a nice touch and generally makes things look more professional. You can tell when grain is added in good quality videos versus bad quality ones. When the quality is good, it looks great. I'll place this effect in solid. Green screen is commonly used in film. It's also used in streams to avoid taking up too much space with the webcam, but there's nothing special about it. Again, if used well, it can create good impressions, but most people just use it the usual way, so I'll place it in decent. Jump cuts are a great technique. There's nothing bad to say about them because they're an excellent tool. Even if used not very skillfully, you can still make it look good. Just cutting a video to the beat of music can already get a great result. If you combine beat cutting and jump cuts, it's a great duo. I'll definitely put this technique in top tier. Picture-in-picture is a standard technique. There's nothing special about it. Almost every tutorial uses it like this, so you don't stand out. Has this technique become outdated? Maybe, but it still works fine. And I can't say it's outdated. It goes in decent. Now, here's something interesting. I've seen so many tutorials about speed ramping. It's often used in edits, but cannot be used in regular videos. Of course, this technique is in every MrBeast video. The camera flyovers with drones, where the speed starts high and then slows down, that's also speed ramping. It's often used to show something grand, like a huge building or apartment. Honestly, I can't put it in top tier because it's a bit lacking for the best, but I can definitely place it in solid. Slow motion is rarely used. Most of the time, it's used for B-roll or beautiful shots with dynamics. You'd use slow motion for quick moments or shots like shooting something. In other cases, it's unnecessary, so it's going in out of place. I like rotoscoping, it's often used, and with it, you can create amazing effects. If you need to add something to the frame and make it blend well with the person, you can do it with rotoscoping. It's an excellent technique that can really elevate your editing. I'm 100% placing it in top tier. Right after the top effect comes reverse motion, which is rarely used. I don't know when you could use it more than once a year, and that's just for fun. This effect is bad, and I wouldn't recommend using it. Wait. Post-erase time is a very popular effect and one of the most frequently used overall. It's how you get that low FPS effect. I personally like it a lot, and animations look very aesthetic with it. I can't place it in first place because, just kidding, I'll gladly place it in top tier, but maybe that's not very objective. I've talked about L and J cuts before, and I'll keep saying it. They are excellent techniques to make your video editing more diverse. They not only add professionalism but also variety to your footage. It's an ideal technique even for beginners. There's nothing complicated about it, and it works great. The only thing to keep in mind is how often you use it. Never use it on every clip. In general, if you add a lot of repetitive content to your video, it will look bad, and using this technique too often will ruin your video instead of enhancing it. This technique definitely goes into the top tier. I highly recommend it. The parallax effect has become really popular lately. I understand why and fully support its use. I really like this effect because you can do a lot with it, especially if you know how to use it correctly. Since I put the 3D camera at the top, I can leave the parallax effect out. So yes, I'm also placing it in the top tier. Overlays aren't something I'd call a unique or extraordinary effect or technique. If you think of it as something placed over the video, like text or a footage overlay, it doesn't bring anything new and is found in almost every video. I place it in decent. The same goes for cutting. This is basic editing. Every video has it. In some videos it might be more, in other less, but it's always there, so I can only categorize it as decent. No other option. Motion blur is a clear-cut effect. I've noticed that not many people use it unless it's motion blur added to the video with the camera. If people add text or animated elements without motion blur, I don't get it. For me, adding motion blur makes everything look much more professional, at least because editors know about it and use it correctly. You won't impress anyone, but this effect will definitely make your video better. I absolutely place this effect at the top. Along with other techniques, it looks great. Mosaic is a standard effect. It's good for hiding something and then revealing it, or hiding it and not showing it again. You can use mosaic for some stylization, but otherwise it's not remarkable. It doesn't go out of style and is still used. This definitely goes in decent. I don't get where or how often you can use the mirror effect, maybe for a funny shot but nothing more. For me, it's an avoid. Match cuts are a great technique used in film. The only similarity in typical YouTube content can be seen in the video is shot from 2 or 3 angles. Essentially, it's the same match cut because the point of the video remains clear and the different angles make your video more interesting. Is it essential? No. Will it make your video better? Yes. I can place this in decent, so I put in solid. Lens flare is a nice effect to use for transitions. It can be used not just for transitions, but also for sunny scenes to set the mood. Thought that's rare. The most I can rate it is decent. It's not bad, but I wouldn't call it great. Talking about text animations is pointless because it's something everyone uses in almost every video, and there is nothing special about it. It's decent. Zooming in and out is essential. It creates dynamics in video and adds some professionalism. You should definitely use this in every video. You can even do it without animation. Just increase or decrease the scale of the new clip, and that will be enough to improve your video. Don't skip it and you'll notice the difference if you haven't used it before. This should definitely be in solid. Whip pan can be tricky. It's a technique you can use for a cool transition, but it's easy to mess it up and create something static instead of dynamic. At least it will look unnatural. With the right approach and well-planned filming, it can look great, so I'll place it in solid, even though it's a less commonly used editing technique. Vignette is something you don't see often. It's a dying effect. There are ways to use it, and I've used it a lot for background effects, but I don't see many other uses for it. I wouldn't say it's a bad effect, but using it frequently isn't a good idea. I'll put it in out of place. Time-lapse in effect you won't use often. Of course, it depends on your content. If your content is about showing a process in fast forward, then you'll use it and it will definitely go in top tier. But in other cases, it's a useless effect because you could just use a jump cut or a regular edit to avoid losing the context of the video without dragging it out. I'd place this technique in out of place. Stabilization is a useful effect if your footage is shaky. It's something that's frequently used and gives your video a boost. Obviously, it adds professionalism because of the stability it brings, so I put in solid. Jump scare is another great technique for creating surprise, scaring the viewer, and evoking strong emotions. You won't use it often, but it's a very good effect, so I rate it in solid. Next is split screen. This effect is used in various ways for different purposes, and it's something you should use. But it doesn't impress anyone and it won't make you look like a pro. I'll just put in decent. The last technique I'll talk about is subtitles. I hope I make it clear in my videos that subtitles are necessary. It's essential to use them correctly. Subtitles shouldn't be used throughout the entire video, only at moments where you wanna highlight your message visually. If you're just talking without much action, you should also use subtitles. There are some nuances, like making sure the font is easy to read or choosing a color that works well on any background. Otherwise, it's simple and subtitles are must, especially for short content. I'll place subtitles in top tier. If you like this format, hit the like button and subscribe. Thanks for watching and good luck with your video editing. Don't use things that don't work, and I'll see you soon.